Hello, my name's Blane Judd, and in this short video I'm going to explain to you the process by which you can become professionally registered through the Institute of Acoustics. This short video will perhaps explain some of the myths that are surrounding this process, but it'll also explain what you need to do in order to become either chartered or incorporated through the IOA. There are 39 licensed bodies that offer chartered, incorporated or engineering technician level registration. But in fact we all operate to the one UK spec standard, which is currently at standard level 4. There are 5 areas of competence associated with that particular standard, and I'll come back to explain a bit more about those in a moment. The IOA actually only holds a licence for chartered engineer and incorporated engineer, but there are also engineering technician registrations, and there is also an ITC Tech, which is Information and Communication Technology. The important thing about this process is that the qualification that you receive that allows you to put those letters after your name is internationally recognised. And it's important that you are able to access this register through any of the licensing bodies, and in this particular case, that of course is the IOA. So what's the advantage to you as an individual? Well, you're able to gain international recognition, as I've already said, and this allows you to move to overseas contracts and be able to work in other areas around the world. The recognition of your professional status is awarded by peers from within the sector, and it will be Institute of Acoustics members who will actually undertake the evaluation of your competence. The evidence of the engineering credentials are all work-based and backed by a professional title. Evidence of your professional ethics is also demonstrated through this, and ethics is very important for all of us as engineers. And of course you end up as a member of a relevant professional body, in this case the IOA, offering support and guidance and development advice all through your career. It is important that all engineers comply with a code of conduct and that they manage and apply safe systems of work. It's also important that we undertake engineering activities applying security and sustainability that is consistent for all. It's very important as well that we commit to continuing professional development. This is not just about attending courses, but it's also about what you read, what you learn from attending events, and how you reflect on that as part of your day-to-day engineering practice. And of course, the one great thing about all of this is that you have become part of a wider acoustics and engineering community. So how do we go through this particular process? Well, the first thing is to provide evidence of your engineering understanding of acoustics. This is usually done through the attainment of a particular academic qualification, and this is where very often there is a myth associated with how that's achieved. For an incorporated engineer, a higher diploma or a degree in engineering is entirely appropriate. For chartered engineers, a master's degree is usually required as part of the evidence of your academic attainment. But it's not the only way. We can also accept evidence through an experience report where you've learnt in the workplace to a master's level or a higher diploma or degree level about the area of acoustics. So we ask you to also provide evidence of working in the field of acoustics through something that we call a professional review interview report. You must become a member of the IOA in order to be able to undertake professional registration, because it's the IOA that actually places you on the Engineering Council register. In some instances, we may ask you to complete a technical report and undergo a technical report interview. This is very rare, and if that were the case, we would be there to support you and we can explain more detail about your particular case. The final part of the process is to attend a professional review interview. This is not to try and catch you out. It's a professional discussion between you and two other acousticians, and what they will be looking to do is to gather evidence in the discussion that supports the evidence that you've supplied in your report. So people often ask me which level of registration they should apply for. Well, it's important to understand that the Institute of Acoustics doesn't have a licence to offer engineering technician. That's something that we're working on for the future. But we do have licences for incorporated engineer and chartered engineer. And the basic difference between those is that if you're an incorporated engineer, you probably maintain and manage various applications of current and developing technology. You might have a small team reporting to you. You won't have high levels of financial responsibility, but you may well be involved in making sure that people are put to work safely. You'll usually report to somebody more senior who is also an engineer. As a chartered engineer, you would be somebody who would be developing solutions to engineering problems. You may be using new technology or you may be using existing technology. You may even be involved in innovating or creating different changes. You'll probably have a higher level of financial responsibility, and you may have responsibility for teams of people who you deal with their professional development, etc. But don't worry about that, because if you're really unsure, you can speak to us, and through a combination of your CV and your career history, we will be able to give you guidance as to which is the right level for you. If you don't actually have the recognised qualifications, we can ask you to write a technical review report, and we would conduct an interview there. Again, this is purely a process by which we can validate the evidence that you've supplied. It also means that if you've gained on-the-job knowledge, you can still gain registration, so you're not disqualified because you haven't actually gone through an academic route. We would ask you to produce a report which is between 5,000 to 10,000 words on a project to show your knowledge. The professional review report is slightly different in that it looks at both your performance as an engineer but also your day-to-day responsibilities. So it covers a series of competencies from A to E as defined within UK spec. It's a report of about 5 to 8 A4 pages, and it should be written in a style that is relatively narrative but also very clearly identifies your contribution to the projects that you've been involved with. The 5 areas of competence are knowledge and understanding, design, development and solving engineering problems, responsibility, management and leadership, communication and interpersonal skills, and finally, your professional commitment, that all-important piece about ethics that I mentioned earlier. The interview that you undertake will be a competence-based interview and will be a professional discussion. Again, please don't think that anybody is trying to catch you out here. So once you've gone through the process of the interview, it really comes down to what are the next steps for you. And I would say to you, don't waste your time. Start now. Start to complete the documentation. We will provide you with guidance. Our members of staff are here to support you, and we will look at drafts of your submission and give you advice and guidance on how to adjust those. We never want to put anybody in a position where they go forward for interview where we don't think that they're going to be successful. So we will work with you to make sure that that's the case. So if you want more information, visit our website or send an email to acousticsengineering@ioa.org.uk. Thanks very much, and get on and do it now.